What is going on, guys? Jack here and welcome to a Football Manager 2019 Top 5 Countdown. Today we're going to be covering the top 5 teams, in my opinion, to manage in Germany come FM19. Hopefully you enjoy this video. Stick it out to the end, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get into this. So guys, to start off this countdown, a team that might come as a bit of a surprise, Werder Bremen. 5th in this countdown of the top 5 teams to manage in Germany. Jack, you might be thinking, why Werder Bremen? They're a team with a fairly rich history. You look at it, they went through a period of, well, you'd have to say consistent European football. We're one of the big dogs in Germany. But they've gone on a run of bad finishes in recent years. Last year they finished 11th. And when you look at this run of finishes, it's actually their worst run of finishes really in the Bundesliga in the last 40 years. And they are, well, a team in transition. And I feel like you as manager are going to be a key part of that transition. You look at their side here. The average age is not that young. Pizarro signed in the summer. A few other players here kind of in their later 20s and early 30s. The average squad age is 27 of the first team, and it's going to be a lot of transformation here, I think, in the first few years. You've got one, I'll say now, just fantastically talented player, and that is Eggstein, who, if I'm not mistaken, I'm hoping we're going to find him here. Here you go, Jonas Eggstein, very talented player, definitely a player who is going to be imperative if you choose to take on Werder Bremen. Because as I mentioned, they do have this older side, but they have got a few young guns. First season, you aren't going to have a lot of money to spend either. They actually spent £25 million in the summer. I don't want to be hypercritical, but just looking at the signings they made in Football Manager, I don't want to say I'm underwhelmed, but I feel like you could do better. So in terms of signings they made, the pick of the bunch would probably be Davy Klaassen, who they signed from Everton, of course. £25 million spent in the summer, and I'd say that Davy Klaassen at around 15 million is probably the most notable of these. The 24-year-old Dutchman, he's not a bad player. He's not my kind of player though, and I do wonder if you could do a little bit better. As I said, this is a team in transition. There are some players with some potential here, but they've not got that potential to be top European challengers. I feel like with Werder Bremen, if you're looking for a team that's going to be a few years of a project to try and get them into Europe and then beyond, this might be the kind of save for you. A few familiar players, the likes of Mac Cruz, also Nuri Sahin, obviously Pizarro, who I've already mentioned. There's notable names here, but they've not got that top-notch quality. And well, you're going to have to try and bring it to them. A team with a little bit of an ongoing struggle right now. Can you steady the ship? Can you get them on the right trajectory and ultimately get them back to where they once were and maybe reclaim a Bundesliga title? Because they're a little bit overdue one now, 15 years later. Coming in at number 4, guys, in this top 5 countdown, we have Hamburger SV, of course. A team who, let's be honest, it was a shock when they got relegated this year. If you don't know, Hamburg are the only team, to my knowledge, who have always been in the Bundesliga. They have a clock, or they had a clock, in their stadium that was counting, how long they'd been in the top flight. They have been relegated last summer. All very awkward, but maybe you can bounce them back. I will say right now, I was surprised they got relegated, but the last few years they have kind of got away with quite a lot. If you look at their recent finishes, it was a little long way coming. And while the former European Cup winners and 3 times Bundesliga champions find themselves in the second tier, which is, well, a shock. As I said, they've struggled for a number of years recently, avoiding the drop narrowly. And I think the time now is just to rebuild. This is a team with some real talent. Arp is definitely one of the pick of the bunch. 17 years old, fantastic striker, good enough for the division. He's going to develop. I think you've got a few options here with Hamburg because they've got some great youngsters. You can keep hold of them, develop them, or you could probably flog them on, maybe get in some of your own younger players and have a proper rebuild. But Arp's definitely a great player. I'll say now, Rick van Drongelen is another fantastic talent, the Dutch centre-back. I don't know if he'll be as good this year in Football Manager as he was in FM18, but yeah, a very good talent. And they do have talent beyond that. I know that Wagnerman is a player who a lot of people are hyping up in real life. I believe he's been playing a role in their first team this year. I think in Football Manager this year he could be getting a pretty good upgrade, to be honest, because he looks like a very good talent. So yes, as I said, there's some talent here. And whilst, I'll be honest, you probably should be expecting to walk the second tier of Germany, the this division. There's some good teams here. Cologne obviously relegated as well last year. They finished, I believe, below Hamburg, but the year before that they finished 5th. A shock relegation side, but a team who have been in a bit of flux. They have talent, Jonas Hector and the rest of their players are going to cause you some problems, and you're going to have to be, I feel like, wary of them. And yeah, whilst there is some great talent, you should be winning this league. The first year is not necessarily going to be this walkover. I think the supporters at Hamburg deserve better. Can you bring better? That's the question. This is a team with talent. Lewis Holtby, a player who may well be familiar to a lot of you English football fans because he was playing in England for a little short while. Obviously, had a few years at Hamburg, not really set the world alight. Maybe he's a player you can build around. Sakai as well, a very talented fullback who is probably one of their better players. Of course, if you are a Hamburg supporter, I'd love to hear your perspective on their team, players that you think people should be keeping an eye out for. But yes, if you're looking for a team that don't start in the top tier, but you kind of want a fairly short save to really get started with FM19, Hamburg may well be that team for you. Coming in at number 3, guys, we have 1860 Munich, a team who, well, in recent years have had certainly issues off the pitch. At the end of the 16-17 season, they were relegated from the 2nd tier of Germany, and, well, their owner, controversial chap, Hassan Ismaik, refused to pay the fee required to get the licence to play in the 3rd division, and as a result, they were relegated 2 divisions in one summer. Since then, they have now bounced back into the 3rd tier of Germany, a very, very competitive league, might I add. It's not going to be easy to kind of keep them climbing up the ranks. Of course, the 3rd tier is the lowest playable league in Germany in Football Manager 2019. And for those of you who don't know a little bit more about 1860 Munich, they're a team with some history, and they were the first team from Munich to win the Bundesliga title. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1966. As England were lifting the World Cup, 1860 Munich were the first Munich side to win the Bundesliga. They only did it once, and since then, bigger brothers Bayern have won it 26 times. So this save, I feel like, is all about trying to become the top dog in Germany and the top dog, most importantly, in Munich. Of course, if you don't know, 1860 Munich used to share a stadium, the Allianz Arena, with Bayern Munich. They lost that deal, unfortunately. You can see, looking at their facilities now, they don't have that big grand capacity. They have some decent youth facilities and training facilities, so you're going to want to make the most of those. And I mentioned the controversial owner. He has now taken a bit of a step back. He's no longer, super influential at the board of the football club, which is great. And I feel like now, following the first promotion since their tumble down the leagues, 1860 Munich need a push. And that push is for you to give them. They have limited resources. They have made some quite good signings, though. Querim Moll is a player they've signed this summer in real life. A very talented centre defensive mid you can see here in Football Manager 2018. I think he's the best defensive player you're going to have. And in terms of attacking talent, they do have some. I feel like, for me, Sasha Mulders is just the pick of the bunch here. He looks pretty good for this division. His finishing might not be the best, but he's intelligent, he's tall. He's got that non-league football look about him, hasn't he? Not the quickest or most technically gifted player, but he's going to be able to give you little knockdowns and win a lot. And I feel like with 1860 Munich, having finished 1st last year, you've got a bit to prove here. And whilst you are going to be in a fiercely competitive league, there is a chance that you can just get promoted right away. This is a save, I think, for those of you looking for a long-term save to start Football Manager this year. It's going to be lower league in Germany, 3rd tier, trying to take them up the leagues, maybe try and challenge Bayern Munich for the title as well. I feel like that's always the long-term goal with this kind of save. And well, I feel like with the history of the club, with this kind of comeback that they're now starting, it feels like, following their promotion last year, they're a very appetising team to take on this year if you're looking for a lower league challenge and a slightly longer term save in Football Manager 2019. Coming in at number 2, guys, we have Bayer Leverkusen. Yes, the team that, if you don't know, I'm going to be doing my beta save with in just a few weeks' time. A team who finished 5th last year, which was a really good, impressive performance, and they had a lot of breakthrough talents last year. The likes of Julian Brandt, Leon Bailey, Kevin Volland, who isn't really a breakthrough talent at all, but a player who has really stuck by this club, all catching a light. And, well, now, can you take them that one step further? They've never won the Bundesliga, but they are ready to mount a serious challenge. They've got some great players, Kai Havertz as well. What a young player this guy is. One to be excited about. And as I mentioned, a few names already. Let's take a look at them. Leon Bailey and also Julian Brandt. Fantastic players in their own right. You know, you can play these guys as wingers, as inside forwards. They are going to be flexible. Leon Bailey as well, only 19 years old. They also added Paulinho this summer, a player who, if you played Football Manager last year, you're probably going to be familiar with because he is a fantastic talent in Football Manager. I'm curious to see how good he's going to be this year. He's got that move to Europe. He's going to have a fire in his belly and a point to prove. And besides those guys, of course, you've got more experienced players in this team like Jonathan Tah. These are all players who, I say Jonathan Tah's experienced. He's still only 21, but he, of course, is a German international. This is a team you should be getting into Europe first season with. I'm going to say that now. That should be the minimum aim. But really, you have the talent, I think, to be challenging for the title within the first 1 or 2 seasons. There is some serious talent here, and you're going to have a little bit of room to manoeuvre in the transfer window. Leverkusen are a team who are known as a bit of a feeder club. You think of some of the players they brought up through their ranks, you know, players like Son. There's a load of other players I can add to that list, which I'm not even going to try and go through now, but there has been a lot of players at this club who have gone on to greater things. Can you keep hold of this little golden batch of players you've got? Keep them happy, keep their ambitions in check and stop them trying to force a move and take down Bayern Munich. That has to be the aim. I do think that the struggle of European football might be something to consider first season. You will be playing in the Europa League. Squad depth is an interesting one because defensively I feel like you're lacking a few players, but an abundance of defensive midfielders might make it a little bit tricky to keep everyone happy. That will be a challenge certainly. But for me, they're a very appetising team, and if you're someone looking for a very short-term save, you know, just a couple of seasons to get to groups of FM19 before you go into your longer-term save, I'm going to say now, I think Leverkusen might well be that team for you. So guys, here we are at number 1. Who have I picked? FC Magdeburg, a team who I would not blame you if you've never heard of. A team playing now in the second tier of Germany, recently promoted, and a club with a lot of history. You might be wondering why these at number 1. I'm a football romantic. I like, you know, clubs with history, clubs with a story. This club has a story and a half. They were founded in 1965 and they spent all but 1 season in East Germany's top flight. They won 3 championships and 7 cup titles in that time. They were a team who, they had it all. They had a golden age that started in 1972. In 1974, they won their 2nd East German championship, and they won this, the European Cup Winners' Cup against AC Milan. Yes, a team who not that long ago were up there with the big dogs of Europe. Further success followed, but the club did fall on hard times when the reunification of Germany happened. It was only back 3 years ago now that they actually returned to professional football when they entered the 3rd flight. They really kind of struggled before then. You can see this history is a history of, well, hardship through the lower leagues. But yes, they turned professional in 2015 and they now find themselves within 1 promotion of the Bundesliga. Can you get them back to the top? Can you get them back in European football? That is something that I think the fans of this club would dream of. I mean, not many of them but perhaps can remember the last time they were competing in Europe back in the 1970s, but that is the challenge at hand. They don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of resources. I'm going to be honest. You're looking at long-term servants to the club like Neil Butson and Christian Beck, really to be the players who can maybe make a difference for you. Players like Nils here, you can see someone who is home and raised here at Magdeburg since many, many years ago, almost a decade spent at the club. It's players like this who you're going to want to maybe build around, keep their spirit going, and see how they go. Christian Beck as well, another long-term servant to the club for a number of years. You can see he's scored goals for fun. Can he do it in the 2nd tier? I'm going to say now, probably not. This is not a club with loads of all-star talents. This is a club with limited resources. You're not going to have the big financial spend that some teams in this division have. And well, the media prediction you can see here as 17th implies it's going to be a struggle. But can you take them back to where they belong? Can you take them back up the leagues? That's the challenge I'm setting out to you right now. I'm a football romantic. I want to see them back up there. Just researching this video, I became a fan of this club. They are an underdog story, a team who, it's unfortunate the nature of their kind of fall down the German kind of pyramid. I encourage you to read more about it if it's something that interests you. But yes, if you're someone who wants a bit of a romantic story, you want a challenge in your first season, you want a slightly longer term save, Magdeburg might well be that team for you. Anyway guys, hopefully you did enjoy today's video. If there's a team that you think should have been in this top 5, let me know it down in the comments. Football is a game of opinions. I want to hear yours down there. If you have enjoyed, leave a like on the video. On the end screen now you can see a few other top 5 videos and a playlist. I encourage you to subscribe if you've enjoyed this. Check out some of the other videos. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.